Good morning and good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this beautiful worldwide world of ours. Welcome to Leadership Mastery, Foundations of Business Leadership. And my name's James Woods, and I'm going to be your teacher or professor for the next period of time that we have with this program. Okay, so what this lesson is about is an overview of the program and what we have in store for you to become the best version of leadership that you can. Okay. Now, before I get into any of the details around that, um, why can I teach this course? You know, what authority, or not authority, but what credentials do I have to actually teach this course? So, just to give you a bit of an idea, just over 40 years in the Australian military, both in the Air Force and the Navy, with the last 10 years being in teaching and the last 5 years being in the leadership space, teaching everything from able seamen through to majors or the equivalent to lieutenant commanders in the Navy. For the last 3 years, I've been teaching lieutenant commanders how to be leaders in their space, but also how to do their job as well. Those lessons that I've learnt over that time have resulted in me writing a book for this course called Leadership Mastery, Foundations of Business Leadership, funnily enough, which I'll be giving you access to for the time being, as in everybody who's seeing this in the next month or so will get free access to it, but eventually it'll go into the Spartan shop and it'll be priced around 10 to 15 bucks. All right. And so that's my background. There's a bit more to it, of course, but in this one, I want to keep it nice and succinct. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you through the program and some things that will help you navigate around to make it easier for you to get started and have a pleasant experience. Okay, so we'll get out of this page and we'll come in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk you through from as much as I can from your perspective when you're coming into the program. So when you first log into Sparta University, you'll be presented this page. You can check out the different houses. This course is actually for the Owl House. Okay, that does not mean if you're in Chicken House or Eagle House that you can't come along. You can still come along. However, you won't get the accreditation for it in your training profiles until you become our level. Okay. All right. So what you need to do then is come into Spartan LMS. Okay. Now, if you've already registered for the course, you should see it in your my registrations here or my courses in here, and you'll be able to access the. So obviously, I've got admin side of the house here, so this is how I see it. The way you see it might be a little bit different. Okay, and if there's other training that you want to do, you can see them down in here as well. There's a whole bunch of them in there that you can enroll in. Okay. Now, if you want to see the material for the course and the curriculum and the syllabus and all of those things that will provide you the information, what you do is you come up to the Professor Cortex. You can just put my first name up here, James, and then come in and enter the Professor's Cortex over here. So once in here, what you're going to see is you're going to see course syllabi, professor's PDFs, and after class videos. So this video will be in here, and this is how you would access it. Not that you'll see it before you access it, but you get my drift. All right, so this is an overview of the program for the next 16 weeks. We will be having a break over the Christmas period for about 4 weeks. And I think I've got to move some of the training for next week to accommodate for your holidays in America. All right. So the key things that you want to look at on this page is the learning outcomes. Okay, so unless you know what the outcome of doing this program is, what's the point? Okay, but so this is where you're going to find that information. Okay, you're intelligent. You can come and read these and see what they are. Okay, the next part is the assessment summary. Details what's happening with the assessments. So basically, we've got some reflections, we've got leadership philosophies, some logs, action plans, a reading plan, and a final integrated portfolio. So that's like a capstone document at the end, which has a leadership philosophy, an action plan, reading plan, and a personal development plan. Overview of the next few weeks. Okay, so phase 1 is about self mastery and purpose. Phase 2 is about communication, collaboration, and decision integrity. Phase 3, service adaptability. Now, those two are actual leadership styles. And then we have integrity and action. Okay, because without integrity and action, you are not a leader. Okay. Yeah. Phase 4, reflection, integration, and future leadership. Okay, and then there's some information down below there. Okay, now where do you get the content? Okay, so a lot of the content I've put into the PDFs here. Okay, if you want to have a look through the full syllabus for it, because what I put in the front page is only really a short, basically an executive summary of the full syllabus. So you can come over down into here, click on View PDF. These ones. Give me a second. All right. That'd be right. I think I did the wrong one. All right, so it's fairly straightforward document. It's reasonably long, like maybe 10 pages, something like that, maybe more. All right. Now, what this does is gives you the framework for what's going to be delivered and what your requirements are. Okay. Got the learning outcomes up here again. Got the assessment summary. Nicer format than what we had in the front one. It makes it a little bit clearer for you to see. We've got the overview again, and then we've got what's going to happen week by week. Okay. The key things for you, if you want to get ahead of the game somewhat, is to have a look at these things and go, okay, what are the learning outcomes? What are the readings that I've got to do? What's a summary of this this week? And then what are my assignments and activities that I am responsible for? All right. And then that's the format. That's pretty much the format in this section. All right. Every one of them has a similar sort of outline. Okay. And then if you come all the way to all the way down to Appendix A, okay, there's some guidance for each week. Okay, so week 1, understanding influence and purpose. What did I learn about my leadership identity? Okay, so when you're reflecting, and there's some other points in the reflection assessment as well that you can use. Then if you come down, these are some of the things I'll be putting into the discussion boards for discussions, because what I want you to do, one of the things I want you to do is when I have a question, particularly if you're watching this in the digital space and not in the live lesson, is I want you to come into the discussion board just down here. And at the moment, the leadership thing is not there yet. The leadership channel, or whatever you want to call it, is not there at the moment. I've asked Seth to put that in. It should be there soon. And by the time you're watching this, it should be, and the questions in here will be there, plus other ones. For example, this one here, this slide is one that I use in lesson 1, is questions that I'll be asking you to respond to in here. Okay. So that you can see there's a whole bunch of things you can work ahead if you want. It's okay. Then we have the rubric. So a rubric is a tool used in education to provide students with a guide to what the assessors are going to be assessing them at. So the tool is used by assessors. So when you do a submission, it is used by the assessor to go, okay, where do they fit? In our example, we've got emerging, developing, proficient, and exemplary. Where does a person fit within this rubric against the work that they submitted for the assignment that they were required, or the quiz that they needed to do? Okay, so it raises a really interesting point, because while I've called this a course, the reality is it is a development program. And the difference between a course and a development program is, in a course, I would be hard and fast to these requirements plus the learning outcomes and holding you accountable and saying pass fail. With a development program, the idea is not about pass or fail, it's about growth. It's about identifying where your baseline is right now, excuse me, and then going, this is the trajectory, this is the growth I'm going to achieve. And that's something you set for you. So you'll have hiccups along the way where you just won't grasp a concept or something like that, and that's okay. Because what that does is represents a learning opportunity for you to actually grow as a person because you found something that challenged you. Okay, something that you might think is even insurmountable. But I'll tell you right now, there's no thing that a leader doesn't see that they can't do. They'll work out a way to do the thing that they need to do to achieve the outcome that they're looking for. All right. So that's the kind of mindset we need to get to in this program. Okay. All right. So I won't go through them all. This is something that you need to go through and have a look at yourself. Then we have a recommended reading list. Okay. Because one of the things about leaders is leaders are readers. Okay. Now I'm not going to explain why here, because in the lesson about that, I'll tell you why it is vital that you become a reader of good quality information. Okay, so here's some ones that you can use to, and I've already given you one. I've given you my leadership mastery book, or else, and I'll show you what that is in a moment. Okay, so there's some there. I've got some more. Where are they? There was some more. Give me a sec. Yep. Oh, there they are. All right, so here's some more that you can use as well. Okay. All right. So once again, you can have a look through this document. How to get to it again, just so you're clear. Through the Professor Cortex. Into the Professor's Cortex and come in here. All right. And that document we're just looking at is all the way down the bottom. Now, these documents: Consolidated Rubric, Assessment Handbook, Student Implementation Kit, Assessment Alignment. I'm not going to go through. They're things that you can go through. Simply click the PDF and you can have a look through those. The book I was talking about, here it is here. So I'll just show you that for a moment. Okay. Hang on. Oops. I did it again. I closed it. So I've also got all of these resources that you can use. They're structured by topics. Okay, so that's another one that you can have a look at as well, which is in the book, I believe. Yes. So in the book, there's a bunch of stuff. Okay. Now, I don't write with fluff. Okay, I'm very direct because when you have fluff and you filler content, it just doesn't work because you're wasting your time, and it's a waste of time me writing it because you know it's just garbage. All right, so I tend to go straight to the point. All right, so let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, I'll just quickly show you the topics. Okay, so you got leadership development begins with you. All right, because you can't be a leader unless you can lead yourself. Okay, and you'll see why after reading all of these things. The foundations of leadership, what it really means. Okay, there's a few exercises and a few things in there. The practice of leadership, a couple of things there, and the growth of leadership. Okay, they're the core headings in there. The growth of leadership is about what you're going to do going forward. Okay, what practices and procedures you're going to put in place that'll help you develop as a leader. Because particularly after this course, there's no one saying you got to do this. All right, it's time for you to take charge of yourself, and that's what we're aiming for at the end of this program, is that you are taking charge of yourself. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to just give you a quick overview. So the way the book's written is, I said, it's pretty straightforward. So it's about a page of content around why you should get your head right in this sense. Some people that have done it in the past and some organizations that have done it in the past, okay, and what they, very succinctly what they've done, okay, without too much detail. Because what I want you to do is when you find, so let's say you're a fan of Serena Williams, okay, and you want to find out what she did, go and look it up. All right, these are mind prompts or thought bubbles for you to go and check it out for yourself. Okay, because I can talk to you on blue in the face here, okay, about leadership and all of those things, and you can nod your head and go, "Oh, that's fantastic," or "Oh, I don't like that." All right, but at the end of the day, if I'm talking, it's my story and my experiences. Now, you can leverage off those if you choose to. You don't have to, all right? But you've got to develop your own story around this. And by seeking out other people like Serena or any of the other ones that I talk about in this book, you get a greater perspective, okay? Because you're learning what other people did. And it might give you ideas about what you can do, all right? So there's an activity. If you're doing an activity, then there's some reflection stuff, reframing. What we're talking about with reframing is if your language model is such that it defeats you, then you need to change it. And there's some examples of that. And then how to integrate it into your life. Okay, and that's pretty much the flavour of the book. Very pragmatic. Um, some resources in there, obviously not exhausting, okay, and that's how it stacks, okay. Now, what I do want to show you is right down the bottom of the book. It's I think there's about 90 pages. Oh no, hang on, we'll tell you in a sec. I can see it on the right hand side there. Here we go. So the content, all right, stops at around 70, page 70. But then what happens, as in the content that I've written, then the next part, we've got master resource list. Okay, so you can see here that what we've got is a bunch of reading material or listening material for you to actually expand your knowledge based on themes. Okay, now all you need to do is copy this. So if you want to do, I'll show you. All right. So let's say I want to learn about James Clear's Atomic Habits. Okay, put that into the search engines, and there we go. Okay, you can go and look it up here. Go and see James's page, and I'm sure there'll be somewhere in there that you can buy it. Okay, and it looks like it's on Amazon. Okay, notice I don't have any links to any of that stuff in here because at the end of the day, I'm here for you, and this is about your journey. Okay, all right. So that's in topic format. Okay, and you can see there's a fair bit of information there. Now, the next thing we've got is tools for leaders, okay? Because you need tools, okay? Your ability to retain information, and it varies by people. Some people have got photographic memories, and some people have got no memory at all, okay? So, tools like journals and maps and trackers and matrices and doing audits and things like that are excellent tools to help keep you focused. Okay, now what I've done is I've just put a couple of things together that you can use. I'm more than happy for you, and I'll show you. I've got these in. I've got some of these in here. I don't have all of them in here yet. Okay, I've got the Decision Journal Clarity Map Personal Reading Sprint Tracker, and I've also got the Crisis Reflection in there. Now you can use those, or you can modify them, or you can create your own. As long as what I'm looking for, so if I use the Crisis Reflection tool as an example, when you submit work that uses these tools, what I'm looking for is, and it's particularly if you've used your own version, and I'm okay with that, okay, is that it covers these key points around crisis reflection in this example. All right. So whatever it takes for you to be comfortable with the way you're putting it down, what works for you, I'm okay with it. This is just an example. All right. Where were we? Okay. Yeah, this one. All right, and there's a few in there. Okay, you've got a decision journal, role clarity map, print trackers, and like I said, you can modify these, or you can use these, or you can say, you know what, that's inspired to make your own, and I'm okay. It's all good. All right. So, what's next? What's next? You've got to. I've provided you a pretty good overview of the program, with some guidance on what you can do, um, to um, to get up to speed of where you need to be for the program. Once we start doing the work, then there's going to be some submissions that you've got to do. Now, at the moment, you can see I've only got quiz 1 here. So this is where you're going to see the submission requirements. You might see them if you go into manage courses, into courses, your courses, you should be able to see them in there as well. Okay. But right now, I've only got one. So I'll use it as an example. Okay. Now, when you first open this, you're going to be presented with a whole bunch of text like this. Now, to me, you're going to go, oh my God, how do I answer this? So what I've done is in the cortex, in here, I've got the quiz in here. So what I want you to do, and all the quizzes will be in there until we update the LMS to actually present the quizzes in a better manner. So what I've done is put together this PDF. Now you can use the PDF if you've got the editing tool, or you can change it. Just copy the text and put it into a Word document, or convert it into a Word document itself. At the end of the day, what I'm looking for is that you've answered these questions. So some of them are multi-choice, like these ones. Some of them are short answer, like these one. And I think I've got one true false, like this, like the easiest questions ever. But most of it is a combination of multi-choice and short answer, okay, in this particular assessment. All right, so all I'm looking for you to do is, if you're doing a Word document, strike through the other ones that are incorrect, or make the one that is correct green, as long as when I look at it, I can go, you know what, that's your choice. Okay, so however that works for you, I can work with you on that. With these ones here, they are short answers. Okay, so if you make war and peace in a short answer, then you need to think about what that actually means from your side out. Because generally, what I find when people write war and peace about a short answer response is because they don't know the answer. And they're trying to pull bits and pieces of information from different areas to try and come up with a plausible answer. If you don't know, it's okay. Because, yes, I have a deadline for this. It's 2 weeks after you start the course if you're digital, and it's 2 weeks for those people that are coming live. It was 2 weeks from the 18th of this month, November. Okay, so if you don't know the answer to the question, look it up. Okay, if you use ChatGPT, don't just copy and paste the answer. I want you to think about what ChatGPT says and put your own spin on it. All right. If you go in this particular one, if you go to the Leadership Mastery book, the answer's in there. Once again, don't copy and paste it, because I'll know. Okay, it's got to be in your words, and the reason that's so important, if you're just copying, if you read something from ChatGPT or somebody else's work, and you just copy and paste it, your brain hasn't thought about it. It hasn't considered it. It is not embedding the learning that's associated with it into your mind. Whereas if you take the time to think about the responses that you see in front of you and go, how would I shape that? How would I make that mine? And that's the response I'm looking for. All right, because that's where the learning is. That's where knowledge is achieved. I won't say experience yet. All right, but that's where the knowledge is achieved. Okay, so yeah, this is going to be what the assessments are about. For the quizzes anyway, this is going to be the structure for all the quizzes that we have in here. Okay. Reflections, once again, don't put it into chat. Don't go in ChatGPT, summarize this. So if you're let's say personal reading sprint tracker, right? This is about you, okay? It's not about ChatGPT coming up with answers for you. If you have gaps, it's okay. It's okay to have gaps. What's most important is that you recognize what those gaps are and you produce a solution to close them. All right, that's what's important. Okay. All right, so that's where we're at there. So that's all I've got on the assessments. Okay. Now for this week, where is it? It's not that one. Not that one. All right. Let's go down here. So this week, it's pretty simple. Where is it going? Week 1. Make that bigger so you can see it. I hope you can see that. Oh, maybe there. Hang on, make it bigger. There we go. All right, so week 1. So you can see the learning outcomes there. Okay, understand the scope and expectations of the Leadership Mastery Program. Pretty certain we've covered most of that, and there's still a little bit of work that you guys have got to do so that you can understand it a bit better. Define leadership as influence rather than authority. Okay, so it leads back to this actually leads back to my question. So I'm not going to fully define this in this lesson. And the reason being is I want your responses. I want your responses in the discussion channel so that we can have a conversation there. And if you come to the live channel, we can have a good discussion about it there as well. Although this particular lesson we've already done, and there were some really, really good responses around this concept. Okay. And then identify personal motivations for studying leadership. Okay. You'll see some of that in the key reading, so in chapter 1. So if I go back into here, no, not that one. Yep, this one. Sorry about all that. Hopefully, all right. So chapter 1 is basically this one. Okay. Have a read through this section here. Okay. And all right. So once again, it's not a great deal of content. However, there's quite a bit of thinking going to be required on your part to start with. All right. Yeah. Where were we? Yep. So just do those things and then start preparing your reflection logs. Okay. Looking at 300 to 500 words, and the theme is my current leadership identity. And then I'll be putting this discussion point into the discussion channel. Okay. All right. Now, a couple of things I want you to understand where learning is concerned. So part of it is around the idea of exposure and experience. So the 3 E's of education. Okay. So when I talk about them, well, first of all, why am I even talking about them? It's because as a leader, you need to be constantly learning. Okay. And you need to have a bit of a frame of reference to what that actually represents for you. Now, I'm going to give you the 3 E's now, okay, but you need to shape that to what suits you. Okay. So when we talk about education, exposure, and experience, all right. So education is the content that you're absorbing from this course and all the other courses you've got going on, but it's also sometimes informal training or learning or education. Okay, because sometimes you'll have mentorship mentors, both obvious and those that are not so obvious. All right. You might not have a mentor, but you might have people that you look up to and you think, I'd like to be like them. All right. And you can get education from them. Now, exposure. Now, what exposure is you've got some knowledge, you've got some education about something, and you're beginning to apply it. You're beginning to apply the learning, and that is critical to becoming a leader or being a better leader than what you are now. Okay, you must apply the education. If you don't, it's like what I was talking about with reading, you've just wasted your time and everybody else's time around you. All right, so apply. The reason you apply is to gain experience. Because what happens when you first start out with on this journey, you're not going to be very good at it. You're going to have a lot of questions, a lot of um, doubts about can I or can't I, or is this for me, or low confidence around it. But confidence and experience come from doing, by making mistakes, having the courage to actually make a mistake. Because failure, there's no such thing as failure. All you've done is found a way that didn't work. And that gave you exposure to things that didn't work. It gave you experience around things that didn't work. Because the goal of learning is to get to the point where you are the master of the subject. And no matter what challenge is put in front of you around that topic or multiple topics, you have the skills necessary to work out a solution. If you can do that, what that does for your team and you is soars your confidence, gains you respect of your team. When you look in the mirror and you look at yourself, you'll feel a sense of pride because you know what you're doing. And I use the word know, right? Please do not use the word believe or I'll try or things like that. Words have power, okay? When you say no, okay, I know this, whatever this is, it is so powerful in your psyche, in your behavior, in your language, in the way you work with people. It has so much power. And you get to knowing something by getting the education, getting the exposure, and getting the experience. You cannot jump it. You cannot skip ahead. You have to do the work. All right. So please take the time. All right. It's not a race. It's a development program. Yes, we have an end date in time, but the journey doesn't finish there because this is an ongoing lifetime process that you are developing. So take the time to get this right for you. I'll be here to support you. I'm sure the others around you will be there to support you as well. If you have any questions and you want a clarification or just, talk about something that you're working through on this leadership journey, I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you. Just hit me up in the Discord or hit me up in the discussion panel or reach out, connect with me, and more than willing to help you out, okay? Because having a team around you that's like-minded will support you no end, okay? If your family and closest friends are not of like mind to you and are not as driven as you, then having this sort of network is vital for your success. Never underestimate it, okay? Really important that you start to elevate or yourself into the way leadership people think, okay? So if you've got any questions, more than happy to support you there. Would prefer them come into the discussion or into Discord first, so give me time to have a bit of a think about it. But if you want to have a chat over a phone, more than happy to do that as well. All right. I'm pretty sure we're just about end of the journey for this particular lesson. It would have been fantastic if the recording had worked for the first lesson because there's some bolted questions in there that were just fantastic. And but I'm sure there'll be more in the upcoming lessons. So that's it from me, James, out on this. I wish you a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and I hope this has resonated with you. And biggest takeaway I can say, please engage. Okay. So that's it. James out. Take care, and I will see you in the next lesson. All right. Bye for now.